Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's up? Welcome to the Having It All podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens, and I'm so excited to be hanging out with you today to talk about what it looks like and feels like to have it all, an abundant, loving life. So thank you for coming on this journey and diving into this conversation with me. Today we're going to be talking about purpose, vision, and passion. And I'm going to be digging into what those are, what those three different things are, purpose, vision, and passion, and how they interact with one another. So this is going to be a really cool episode for you if you've either been really interested in figuring out your purpose and uncovering your passion and having a vision in life, or if you've been totally turned off by all the different rhetoric out there and expectations around you needing to discover your purpose and live with passion and have a vision. So no matter what side of the fence you are on, this is going to be a cool episode. Yes. But first, let's talk about some magic. Let's talk magic, because having it all is a great thing. What does that actually mean? Well, I broke it down for you. It means abundant, loving life. But what happens when you have it all? What's the result of that? One of the results are these things called magical moments. And these magical moments are actually already happening in your life. They're happening all the time because you are a powerful creator. You create things in your life. You create experiences. You manifest things within your life. Some things that you really enjoy, things that bring you happiness and excitement, and other things you absolutely freaking hate, and you suffer through them. And what's really key is that you need to recognize, it's important to recognize that no matter if it's a great thing in your life or something that's not so great, you're still creating it. You're still at the center of it. You're the common denominator. And so when we're talking about magical moments, we're talking about those times that we've influenced ourselves, others, or life in an empowering way. Because I want you to always remember that you are magical and that you have the power to create what it is that you want in your life. So I had some pretty cool magic yesterday. It's Tuesday right now. And yesterday on Monday, I had a gentleman come out to my house to repair my dryer because my dryer broke last week. And so we had all these clothes hanging all over our house in like 2 or 3 separate rooms. We had fans, the overhead fans spinning to dry all these clothes. And so the guy came out yesterday. His name was Shawn. And man, I had such an awesome conversation with Shawn. Completely unexpected. And what was magical about it is that Shawn showed up on a Monday. Mondays are typically pretty heavy work days for Sarah and I. Maya is out at school, so we get 8 hours to just dig in. So I knew Shawn was going to be coming. He gave a window. So when he arrived, I had to pause what I was working on. And so my intention was to let him in the house, show him where the laundry room was, let him know that, hey, you can holler at me if you need me, go back to work, get my stuff done. When he was complete, sign the bill, peace, get back to work, right? That was what I was expecting. But as he was working, I was just watching him. He was just doing his thing. And I just felt inspired I felt curious. I really was hit with this curiosity. And so I just asked him, hey, where did you learn to do this? Where did you learn these skills? Because he was taking stuff apart and he knew what all the pieces were and all this cool stuff. And that little bit of curiosity just led us into this really freaking cool conversation. He talked to me about his schooling and how he was going to school initially to work on computers because that's what you did back in the day when he was growing up. Everybody when their mom was working on computers, even his mom, she went and got a job working for a computer company. And then he talked to me about how that changed and he liked to work with his hands and he got this job with the repair company, and then talked to me about his kids. He had 2 girls, and as soon as I meet any father who has daughters, especially if they only have daughters, I get super curious. I want to talk to them. I want to learn everything that they know. So I talked to him about his daughters, and we talked about what it's like to be a father to girls and how magical that is. And then he had to go outside to get something, and he walked through my office. And yesterday, Sarah and I had lighting equipment set up and video equipment. We were recording some videos, and we had our podcast thing set up on the desk. So he looks and sees them, and he's like, "What do you guys do here? What, you doing videos? What are these mics?" And so I got to talk to him about the podcast, and I got to talk to him about the type of work that I do, helping people to have it all in their lives. And man, we just connected. Two guys just connecting. And it was so freaking magical. And we chatted up in the driveway for a while before shaking hands, and he headed out. And I just thought that whole entire thing was so freaking magical because, he and I were able to connect, and that connection came about because I just got curious. I just was curious about him and his life. And, the universe had brought us together for this moment. Our lives overlapped for this, hour that he was here at my house. And so I could have, like I said, so easily gone and just done my work, but I wanted to connect with a stranger, and I'm so happy I did. So that's my magic. That's my magic, the conversation that I had with Shawn. And I just encourage all of you just to get curious. Just get curious about someone in your life and see what happens. It could be a loved one or a stranger. Just get curious and see what magic can come about from that. So that's my magic for this episode. Take a moment to think, what's your magic? What's the magic that you've created recently? Remember, that's your ability to influence yourself, influence others, or influence life in an empowering way. Pause this episode, think about your magic, because I want you to get in the energy of realizing, man, I'm freaking powerful. I create all sorts of stuff. I want you to feel that as we continue through this episode. And next thing I want to do is just give a shout out, some listener love. I really enjoy you all. Honestly, I love connecting with you all and talking and just receiving the messages. And I went on to iTunes recently. I hadn't been on iTunes in a little while. And I jumped on there, and I was just so blown away by all the reviews. I was like, oh my gosh, I got all these new reviews came in on the show in the past couple of weeks. And so I wanted to dedicate this listener love to Manny Minimalist, who left an awesome review on iTunes. I'm going to read this. This is cool. So the iTunes reviews, they have like a subject line, and then they have the review. The subject line reads, "How is this free?" Which is awesome. And then Manny Minimalist writes, "The fact that this podcast is completely free to listen to boggles me. There's so more correlation. There's so much correlation. There's so much correlation to my personal problems and your advice, and I just want to thank you. Definitely my favorite podcast for 2019. I appreciate it, and please keep doing what you're doing." Well, Manny Minimalist, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much, more than you could know. And thank you for just listening to the show. And the show is going to continue to remain free. I think that's awesome. That's like one of the first times I've heard someone say that. That's so cool. So the show is going to stay free, and I'm going to keep cranking out some awesome stuff for you and everybody else. And so thank you, Manny Minimalist, for taking a moment to leave an iTunes review. And you know what? I'm going to give shout-outs to there's a bunch of other people too. Tabby Bunny Mama, thank you for the review. Pharrell112, thank you for the review. Mark, what up, homie? What up, Mark? Thank you for the review. Janet J, thank you so much. Not Alone Alex, got to say shout out to you as well. Thank you, all of you, for leaving reviews in the month of January. I'm so appreciative for all of you. And the reviews are just freaking cool. Like I get a chance to just see your feedback. And I like it, whether it's encouraging feedback, 5-star feedback, or 1-star feedback. So if you got some feedback you want to share about the podcast, hop over to iTunes, leave a review. And if you just want to support the show in any small way, you can do so by subscribing. If you're on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, you can subscribe. That's an awesome way to support the show. I appreciate that. And okay, I got 2 things I got to plug. 2 quick things I'm going to plug before we get into this episode, and these things are worth tuning into. So the first one is I'm super excited about this. I said I was going to do this last week, and I told you I was going to do it today in last week's episode, but the Trust Challenge is back. the Trust Challenge. So this is going to be the third time we've done this Trust Challenge, and this one kicks off next Monday, February 4th. So that's 6 days away from today if you're listening on Tuesday the 29th. And I highly encourage everyone listening to just go and check out the sign-up page and just read it and see if it resonates with you. You can go and learn more and sign up at MatthewBivens.com/trust. And the Trust Challenge is all about you building confidence within yourself. It's about you making an agreement to yourself and keeping that agreement and seeing the ripples, seeing what happens when you keep your agreements. When you make those deposits into your own tank, some amazing things happen in your life. And so this is the third time that we've done the Trust Challenge. And for this one's different. Each one has been different. We did 30 days, we did 5 weeks. This one is a 21-day challenge. And I'm giving you something new to do or think about or be each day for 21 days. So every day is different. And that's different from the first and second version of Trust Challenge that we did. So again, this is all about building trust, all about keeping your agreements, all about making that deposit into yourself. And one of the really, really cool side effects of all this is that you're going to feel happier, healthier, and more aligned. That's just a side effect, right? That's not the purpose of this. The purpose is to keep your agreements. But one of the consequences, one of the ripples is feeling happier, healthier, and more aligned. And that's just the ultimate win-win. So I do have to say this, and I really want you to let this sink in. Don't sign up for the Trust Challenge if you're not going to do it. Honestly, if you're not going to keep this agreement for 21 days, don't even sign up, please, because this is all about keeping your agreements. This is all about keeping your agreements, and the damage that's done when you make an agreement and don't keep it far outweighs. It's just not worth it. It's too risky. So if you get excited by everything I'm saying and you think you might not do it, and you know you're going out of town and you know that you won't do day 7 or won't do day 20, just don't do the whole thing. I want you to only sign up for this if you're going to go through the entire 21 days with us. All right? And if that's you, then let this be where you take a stand for yourself. Let this be where you do something bold and audacious for yourself, where you prove to yourself once and for all that you can do it, that you can keep your agreements, that you can follow through because you're worth it. Because you are worth it. So if you're interested, go to MatthewBivens.com/trust. That's where you can sign up, you can join us, and we're going to kick off on Monday, February the 4th. There's going to be a Facebook group and all that great stuff. So go and check it out. All right, last little announcement. I had a survey rolling through the month of December and January, and I promised that 2 people would be winning access to my upcoming course and a pack of affirmation bands, and I got those 2 winners. So congratulations to George and Corey. Both of you, go check your inboxes. You got an email from me. You both have won the survey giveaway. Thank you so much for just giving me your feedback in general, taking a moment to do that. I'm super excited for you all to have access to the course and to receive the first ever packs of my affirmation bands. George and Corey, you both rock. And thank you to every single other person who took a moment to sign up or fill out the survey. That was awesome. Your feedback was amazing and really is helping me to craft this course that I'm building and some future really fun things. So thank you. Okay, let's get into the episode. Let's talk about passion. Let's talk about vision. Let's talk about purpose. Now, for me, purpose, passion, vision, these have all been ideas that have sounded amazing. Like they've sounded awesome at one point in time in my life. However, I definitely have had some self-criticism. I've had some judgment towards myself at some point in my life, in my years, for either not having one or all 3 of those things. So maybe at some point in my life, I felt like I didn't have purpose. And because I didn't have purpose and because I was seeing other people who clearly had purpose, I was judging myself. Or maybe I was lacking some motivation. I just didn't feel energized. I just didn't feel like I had drive. And I was telling myself, well, it's because you don't have passion. And so there's been this really interesting contrast of emotions that I've felt around the ideas of passion, vision, and purpose, where I really love what they stand for and I love the idea of them, but then at sometimes I've been very critical of myself for not having them. And I really don't want that for any of you. I don't want any of you all to be criticizing yourself because you feel that you lack quote unquote purpose, or because you feel that you just don't have quote unquote passion, right? So the thing that, what I want to do in this episode is I want you to know that the reality might be that you have these things. Your definition of them just might be a little off. What you think is passion may be something else. And so I've been reading this awesome book. It's called E-Myth Mastery. It's here in front of me. E-Myth Mastery by Michael Gerber. And it's a really awesome business book. It's about building world-class companies, and that's my goal with Having It All. I want Having It All to be the premier place where people go to learn how to have it all and learn how to truly live abundant, loving lives. And so I've been studying this book. I've been pouring through it so that I can create that world-class enterprise. And Gerber has a really awesome chapter about passion, purpose, and vision. And so there's some ideas in that chapter, some quotes that I want to pull out because it really helps to distinguish those things and helps you to wrap your hands around what they actually are. So this episode, I'm not going to tell you how to find your purpose. I'm not going to tell you how to find your passion or tell you how to find your vision. Maybe in the future, if that's something you want, then just give me some feedback. Hit me up and let me know if that's what you want me to do. But the reason I'm not going to tell you how to do those things is because I feel that once you understand the difference between the three of them, and once you understand how they interact, I think that many of you are going to uncover your passion, purpose, and vision simply by having that understanding. So let's start with purpose. Purpose is one of those things that, I don't know, you could just do a Google search and find so many articles about purpose that tell you how important it is, how vital it is that you figure out your purpose in life, that you can't be happy and joyful without a purpose. And, maybe that's true or not. I don't know. But what it always made me feel was that my purpose was going to end up being the thing that I did in my life, right? My purpose is going to be my business. My purpose is going to be my career. My purpose is going to be, raising my family. And that was always an interesting idea for me. Because then on the flip side, you have people who get into something that they truly love, who get burnt out by it and who don't want to do it anymore. And so I'm left sitting thinking, well, if that's your purpose and now you don't want to do it anymore, what does that mean, right? So when I was reading E-Myth, one of the things that Gerber wrote that really got me to pause and reread it, he said, there is no purpose for purpose. There is no purpose for purpose. It simply is. And so that made me think back to, my common ideas around purpose, that when I think about purpose, I think about what I'm supposed to do with it, what I'm supposed to create with it, what the end result is. And then feeling that if I don't have purpose, then my life's not going to have any meaning and I'm not going to leave any legacy. But if you start thinking about it there is no purpose to purpose, that purpose simply is, that it's something that is just called from within you with no agenda other than to be expressed, that idea can be extraordinarily freeing. That idea can be freeing because let's say that you just love to sing. You just love singing. You love expressing yourself through song. You've done it since you were young. You would just go and sing and you catch yourself doing it, just in your spare time. You just love to sing. But then at some point you felt like you needed to do something with that. I need to do something with this thing that I identify as my purpose. So I need to go to school for it. I need to, record some albums. I need to try and go and perform in front of people and get paid. And so that thing that you connected with as simply a purpose, as simply was, you just felt like you needed to sing and express yourself. You've now connected it to some end result. And then what happens is now you've connected to an end result, and now you don't feel like you can be successful or happy or fulfilled if that end result isn't met. That end result being I need to get a record contract. That end result being I need to perform in front of, an orchestra crowd. Whatever that is. And so when you think back to the idea that purpose could simply just be, that there's no purpose for purpose, that purpose simply is, then that gives you the ability to simply just experience that purpose within you without attachments. So for me, when I think, what is my purpose? I think about that thing that I've always loved to do, the thing that I always just felt that needed to come through me. It's creating. I feel so connected to the idea of creating. And I think back to when I was young, and I kind of look back at some of the things I love to do. And yeah, there was other things, other areas I like to express myself and things that maybe I had some passion in. But when it comes down to what that purpose, that thing that I felt like is just kind of just welling up within me that always needs to come out, it's just this idea of creation. And sometimes most of the time, honestly, that idea of creation has, I just go and create something and it's complete when it's complete. Like there's artwork in my house that is just complete. If you looked at it, you'd be like, okay, clearly you need to finish painting this because he's lacking a face or this body is not filled in. But for me, according to my purpose and what I was feeling, it was complete. It was done. And I wanted to go on to something else. So that idea of purpose being simply that thing that needs to be expressed within you for no other reason than expressing it, if you start to think of your life and think of those things that you feel called to do, then maybe there has been purpose within you. You just haven't thought that was purpose because you didn't have the next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is what's necessary to take that purpose and manifest something that impacts other people. And that's vision. Vision is that grand idea, that grand plan, that thing that you can see in your mind that you're like, oh my gosh, I could do this and I could do that and I could see how all these pieces interact and holy crap, this is big. And maybe it's not necessarily big in that you're going to go build $1 billion company. Maybe it's just big in its importance to you. And what happens a lot of times is I think people connect or collapse purpose into vision. But if you look at them as two separate things, then you go back to the example of somebody who needs to sing. Well, now you could be expressing and experiencing that purpose simply just needing to sing and get those emotions out that way. And then it's your vision, right? The vision that you have of the thing you want to build or what you want to do with that purpose that can then basically create this little box for it. So now they can remain as separate things, right? Your purpose can still be pure. It can be this pure expression that doesn't have any other end goal other than to exist. While your vision can be that thing that you go after. And your vision can be that thing that you say, you know what, this is what I want to create. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to use that purpose. And so when I think of vision that way, I end up, because I love building businesses and brands and different things like that, I think of entrepreneurs. I think of people who have had some big idea, some vision, and that vision, when you get to know that individual, you could see their purpose underneath it, but they are separate. So the next piece is passion. And for that, I actually want to read a little bit from E-Myth. Gerber writes, "So much is said about passion, but so little is really understood, perhaps because it is so experiential, so emotional, so not of the mind, that it's so difficult to put into words, but I'm going to try. Passion is a powerful, organic arising. It is a surge of energy that has nothing to do with commitment, determination, resolve, or a hearty hunger for getting what you don't have. I don't know of anything more potent than the passion that rises up in my body for no obvious reason whatsoever." So passion is one of those really cool things because when you combine passion, vision, and purpose, you go and create some stuff. You go and build some amazing stuff. But passion is almost kind of like purpose, like where purpose, there is no purpose for purpose. There really isn't a rhyme or reason for passion. It just erupts. It just comes up. And I think most of us, if not every single one listening right now, can think back to a moment where they felt just an overwhelming sense of passion, that energy arise out of nowhere, and maybe was directed at something that surprised them. Maybe you recognize that you had a passion for something, and when that first wave of that passion came over you, you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't have any idea that this was in me. But that passion is there. I think that passion lies within all of us. Some of us, it might be dormant. It might just be kind of slumbering under the surface. But dormant passion is different than non-existent passion. So if you haven't felt passion in a long time, it's not because it doesn't exist within you. It's not that you don't have it. It's just dormant. It hasn't necessarily been unlocked, or because since passion has a lot to do with emotion, passion isn't always necessarily called into being. It's just maybe for you haven't aligned yourself with perhaps your purpose, or perhaps with the vision that gets that passion going. So I want to read a couple of quotes for you from Emeth that ties these three ideas together. I saved these quotes because I wanted to go through what purpose was, what vision was, and what passion was. And then now I'm going to show you how they all interact and work together. So Gerber writes, purpose in the sense of a vision is what passion serves. I'll say it again. Purpose in the sense of a vision is what passion serves. It provides passion with something to do, which is greater than itself, which is more productively focused than what passion finds when it wakes up every morning. Vision is a reason to live. You can call it purpose, but the minute you turn it into a purpose, it calls forth the part of you that is more focused on results than process. Purpose doesn't free you. Vision can. That's some fascinating stuff right there. Because, again, so many of us have heard the rhetoric that you have to, in order to be happy, in order to be free, you have to know your purpose. And here he's saying purpose doesn't free you, vision can. And I get that. I totally get that, because your purpose might simply just to do that thing that you enjoy, that you feel called to do. And that may or may not free you. Right? You may not feel completely free and content and fulfilled simply because you understand your purpose. But once you have a vision of how you can use that purpose or allow that purpose to flow through you to manifest something that impacts other people, now there's that sense of freedom. Now there's that sense of, oh my gosh, okay, I see how I can connect with this and truly feel aligned and truly feel fired up. And then that passion kicks in once you have those two things. And that passion is that it's like shoveling coal into the engine. It gets you going and it gets you creating that thing. Gerber also writes, the vision is what calls us. The purpose is what manifests the vision. The passion is what fuels us to achieve what we can't clearly describe in a way that we are made able to describe it. So the vision is what calls us, the purpose is what manifests the vision, and the passion is what fuels us. I love that. I totally love that, because I can connect with it. Because I know what it's like to kind of go through and feel like I'm pretty clear on my purpose, and I felt passion, but you put those two things together and you're missing vision, well, now things can get all sorts of convoluted. You can start to think that, the thing that you're called to do, well, now I got to go and make a business out of it, or now I got to go and do this with it, or now I got to go and do that with it. And if you think back, right, you don't want to put an end result on purpose. Purpose simply is. And for a long time, I lacked vision. I wasn't hit with that vision of what I could create, of who I could become, of how I could impact other people. And without that vision, I'm operating off of purpose, and I have a little bit of passion here and there. And go back to the very beginning of when we started this conversation. Here I am looking at those words, passion, vision, purpose, and being frustrated. Because on the one hand, I want them, and I felt some of them. But on the other hand, here I am judging myself. Here I am comparing myself because, I look on, TV and I see Tony Robbins, and he's clearly full of passion. He clearly knows his purpose, and he clearly has a big vision that he's manifested. And the only way to, quote unquote, achieve success is to have those things. So this was a really eye-opening chapter in E-Myth for me, and you could tell why I wanted to bring this to the podcast, because again, E-Myth is all about, building that world-class enterprise. But what's really fascinating, even if you are inspired to build businesses in your life, who you are, your character gets infused into the DNA of the business that you build. That's why there's a lot of, self-help, I'm doing air quotes right now, self-help conversation and trainings that are within business schools or business trains of thought. Not even business schools, because I went to a business school. They didn't do any self-help type stuff, personal development type stuff. But when you get to higher levels, the people who operate the business are the ones that are going to make it succeed or not, ones that are going to make it effective or not. And if those people aren't mature and able to manage and handle themselves, well, then it's going to be reflected in the business. So it doesn't shock me that Gerber in his book is bringing out all these things about passion, vision, and purpose, all of these personal development types of things in his book. All of that stuff is just super, super fascinating to me. So hopefully by now, after having heard some of the distinction between passion, vision, and purpose, and seen and heard how they can interact with one another, hopefully by now, if you have felt that you lack any one of the three, you might now be able to see that maybe you don't necessarily lack it. Just maybe the way you define them, or maybe the way your beliefs around them, how you perceive them, was a little bit off, or was leading you in a direction to believe something like I did, right? To believe that if I didn't know my purpose, then my life was going to feel empty. But that's not really it. You can understand your purpose. Maybe you're working on getting more clear on it, but you can have an idea. But it's without that vision, because that vision is what you're going to now point that passion energy towards creating. And if you don't have that, I think the vision is one of the most important pieces, quite frankly. Because each one of us has purpose. There's a reason why each one of us is here. Some people understand it a little bit more clearly than others, but it doesn't mean that you don't have it. But not everybody has vision. Not everybody has been hit with that vision for what is calling you. The vision for that thing that your spirit wants to create in your life. Whether it's an amazing family of just really loving, kind, generous, strong individuals, or maybe your vision is to create an organization that impacts the world in some type of way, or maybe your vision is to create a business that provides you and all your employees with the lifestyles that you want to live. Whatever it is, without that vision, if you don't have that vision, then it can be incredibly easy to feel disconnected, to feel lost, and then to feel frustrated. And I know because I've been there. And so I'm very curious where you're at. I'm very curious what's percolating through your mind now that you have a slightly different viewpoint or perspective on passion, vision, and purpose. And I'd love to hear about it. I'd love for you to leave me a review on iTunes or shoot me a message on Instagram, Matthew_Bivens, and just tell me what you feel your purpose is. Maybe tell me what you have been operating, what vision you've been going to create. Or tell me those things that get that passion fired up. Or share with me where you're at with it all. Maybe you just don't feel like you have any of that stuff, And one of the cool things about all of this is that when you stay within different types of conversations like these, like the more you stay in conversations around connecting to your purpose, your passion, or your vision, particularly if you don't feel like you have them, if you stay in these conversations, stuff's going to start happening. Stuff's going to start shifting in your life. It kind of relates back to the thing that all of us have heard, like we become the 5 people that we hang around most. It's like that energy, that environments that we place ourselves in. So if you place yourselves in a conversation with people who are talking about purpose, if you start reading things about purpose, if you start watching TED Talks on purpose, if you start, just engaging with these conversations around purpose, you will discover yours. It's just how that stuff works. So if you felt frustrated because you don't have purpose, you feel like you don't have purpose, you feel like you really don't have vision for your life, or you feel like you just are lacking passion, then I encourage you to get curious, bringing it back to those magical moments. I encourage you to get curious and start going out and just absorbing content on passion or vision or purpose, whatever it is that you feel that you are lacking, whatever area you feel kind of stuck in. Because that's going to get some gears rolling for you. Because maybe you're going to hear a new perspective like I gave you today. And maybe that new perspective is going to unlock something within you. And maybe that when that thing is unlocked, you recognize, oh, crap, that's my purpose. Oh, wow, okay. I'm a little bit more clear now. So there's a lot of things that could have potentially come out of this episode. And I was just really, really excited to share this one with you. And so this is great. I'm going to go and work more on my vision, because that was one of the big things I got from it. I thought, wow, okay, I'm not very clear on my vision, on what I want to build, and so I've been putting some very intentional work into that vision. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do, put work into my vision so that it's connected to my purpose and is fueled by my passion, because I truly want to be able to impact you all, impact the world, just to show people that, hey, listen, an abundant, loving life is so much more than possible. It just comes down to some basic things, and give people the tools and the support and the accountability to go ahead and create that in their lives. So that's it for today's conversation. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, talking about all of these fantastic things, talking about having it all. I love it. I appreciate you. My name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.